Hi. There was a girl who was sure all that glitter was gold. And she was buying a stairway to heaven. Do all stairways lead to heaven? I'll give you a comprehensive reply to this on the platform that TEDxJGEC has provided me today. Hailing from a very small town of Bihar, now Jharkhand, this girl was a community of 3 musketeers, an elder brother and a younger sister. Her father had a very tough life, leaving his family at a very tender age, and right now struggling hard to build a foundation for their survival. Time was tough and money was scarce. But he ensured that all 3 of them received a formal education and never-ending dreams to reach the zenith of life. Unfortunately, this ambition took a toll on the other phases of life, where buying new dresses, having the best food, and leading the most comfortable life was not her cup of tea, as a child or as a teenager. But this was not a cause of concern for her, as because she never longed for a fairy tale. All that enticed her was to see herself as an officer in uniform. What sort of an officer? She never knew. She took her education to her heart and soul. The absence of the golden lifestyle was compensated by her being the best in her academics as well as extracurriculars. Time flew. She completed her undergraduate education in physics. By this time, she learned the optimum way of leading her life by cutting corners wherever possible. One fine day, elder brother found a job posting in the employment news, which at the first instance seemed to be way out of the league for anyone of their stature. Mind you, at that very moment, he himself was searching for a job. But for him, the best decision was to show his sister about it. This shows how highly he thought of her. And exactly from that very moment, the universe paved a separate path for the girl. So much so that it totally changed her life, and she turned out to be the first lady Marine Commander of the port sector of India at large, and is standing in front of you right now to tell you the story what the river taught her. We should admit that we are lucky that we are not born in the world where our grandmothers and mothers lived, where career choice for women was so limited. The career paths chosen by women these days are almost in comparison to that of men. But the obliviousness of the world to cater to the needs of the women in the industry has decreased exponentially. Correspondingly, the hypocrisy pertaining to the admittance of creating a woman-friendly environment has increased. This is analogous to handing over a cricket bat to a kid without any protection and telling him to face the juice ball. The fact of the matter is, this opportunities without any infrastructure is the better form of demotivation. Regardless to mention, way back in 1992, not only that 30 years from now, even at the present date, I have been facing lagging minimum infrastructure for women, either on board a ship or in an office or at the ship repairing yard or dry dock, where you forget about regular bio breaks for women. You got to sacrifice drinking water throughout the day in order to avoid the washroom which doesn't exist for women at all. And in case of emergencies, you got to barge into men's domain with embarrassed onlookers all around. This is one of the most crucial challenges the industry is looking at still very trivially, which I have made a choice to take it to my stride. Back in the day, people in India barely thought of a girl being fit for a job which requires physical labor as its prime attribute, let alone the marine sector, where I, in the year 1992, had undergone passing out parade in the INS Netaji Subhash along with my male counterparts with rifle on, apart from other on-the-job physical marine trainings on board ships and elsewhere. But this is something these days, women are generalized to be the principal figure of taking care of household job and child care. But then why do you think is the reason, what do you think is the reason behind women not being able to undertake the challenges both inside and outside home? It's the denial of the men to do so. Now, before you categorize me as a conservative feminist, I would like to bring forth the role of a strong man and a family who had a totally different mentality altogether. On numerous occasions, I had to leave behind my sobbing son at a very tender age to serve my occupation. My job requires me to stay away from home for days and weeks and months altogether. And the moment I stepped into my home, after long and exhausting period of work, my elation knew no bounds, seeing my baby boy growing rapidly through different stages. From a baby, from an infant, to a toddler, to a teenager, and finally a man, where his tears for staying away from his mom has changed into his strength. And today, as a grad student in the Pennsylvania State University in the United States, he is the one lecturing me about the benefits of sacrifices one makes by staying away from home. So who do you think looked after my child in the long absence of his mom? It's none but my bolster, my never-ending source of motivation, my husband and my parents-in-laws. They did their best to ensure that my child feels at home even in the absence of his mom for long periods of time. So this is the anecdote for all successful women, that the first and foremost criterion is to choose the right and the real partner. This was all about society and the stuff on which people have influence upon. What about the physico-technical hurdles? The wonderful job that I am in since last 30 plus years is totally machine dependent. A new joinee from day one has to focus on the computational aspects of the job, handling electronic equipments like DGPS, total station, HIPAC survey software, ADCP, multi-beam, total station, a few to name. If I am told to express my job description in a single line, I would specify by saying I am one of those few people who understands the water pretty much to make shipping seamless. I undertake hydrographic surveys and navigational spectrum to the port of Kolkata. So I worked relentlessly with full willpower and willingness and courage and conviction in order to complete the unthinkable, to match my prowess to my colleagues. This is the hope, the internal strength, and the light within us that will never be extinguished. Instances of being dangerously agrounded, falling in the middle of storms or nor'westers or cyclones, being uncontrollable in the strongest of the tidal currents, amidst most critical navigational channel of the river Hooghly, either in Kolkata or Haldia, where are the few instances of the challenges I faced during these last 30 plus years of my service. These are the hard days that challenge you to the core and make you understand who you are. They defined me not by what I achieved or succeeded, but by how I survived. These occupational hazards, apart from other untoward incidents, groomed me up and made me learn to enhance my courage and confidence in order to stick on to this unique male-dominated marine service. You must be thinking, why am I expressing my treacherous experiences with the Mother Nature? There is a reason behind this, and the reason is that women these days complain a lot. Even with the minuscule of problem they face, they tend to go haywire and point at somebody else to be the reason for their not being able to complete their task, instead of putting in more time and effort into it. The uncertainties of my job still exist. Telling you honestly that I still don't know the perfect solution of the life-threatening problems that come without any alert and giving seconds to think. But one thing I know truly, and that is, if you have your confidence and courage, and if you have the willingness and willpower to work, nothing can stop you from reaching your goal and taking you to success. So my token of advice to the ladies and women, the fabulous women over here, is that in order to stick on to your choices of professions, you got to sit at the table. You got to actually sit at the table instead of sitting at a corner or a side of a room while in a meeting or a conference. Instead, in spite of you holding the dignified position in the organogram of the organization, all you need is the courage and confidence to sit and express or explore yourself. Express yourself instead of hiding your talent and experience. Women systematically underestimate their capabilities. Women do not negotiate for themselves in the workforce. Men attribute their success to themselves, but women attribute their success to some other external factors. No one would like to promote an underconfident person sitting at the corner of a room. So just remember, believe in yourself, negotiate for yourself and own your own success. But again, that's not that simple. It's easier said than done. As because success and likability are positively correlated for men and negatively correlated for women. And the life example is standing in front of you, the successful First Lady Marine Commander of the Port Sector of India, promoted in the year 2019, who was inducted as the first lady trainee marine officer. Who was inducted as first lady trainee marine officer way back in 1992, more than 30 years now, by the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Port, Kolkata, erstwhile Kolkata Port Trust. And the good news is that people like me, and they agree that I am equally competent to my male counterparts. But the bad news is there. The bad news is that men, they are great guys. Good to work with them. Women, they may not be that dynamic. They may be slow thinkers. Not a better choice. So this is complicated. We got to rise beyond this. Women at the top level got to pull in more and more women from down below and increase the women workforce in all professions, everywhere in the world. We got to be impartial in terms of judging, in terms of the experiences and talents between men and women got to sit at the table. I have come a long way from a very small town girl who was shy to speak to people. But right now has delivered a TED talk. It's unbelievable. How could this happen? It's only because someday I had decided to become a courageous and a confident person. And I hope that you all do that. And my last token of advice to the new and flourishing generation is that we should stop expecting to be offended and start truly, openly, and sincerely listening to each other, which will lead to a greater understanding of one another and having more and more compassion towards each other. As because men and women, we all are in it together, and together we will reach towards solution. And only then finally we will be healing from inside out. And then that's the first thing is that it should start from listening. So thank you all for listening.